Freedom. All I want is freedom. Is that too much to ask? All I want is freedom to forget everything in my past. All I want is freedom to take away all the tears and the pain. All I want is freedom to never feel that way again. All I want is freedom to love you my own way. All I want is freedom to make all my fears go away. All I want is freedom to say, I love you. All I want is freedom to hear you say, I love you too, by Crystal Carpenter. Hi, welcome back to Life is a Treasure podcast. If this is your first time, I sincerely welcome you to Life is a Treasure podcast. I am your hostess, Durand, and this is episode number 38, Freedom from the Past and the Full Moon for July 2020. So in this episode, as we're approaching July 4th in 2 days, and the full moon the day afterwards, 2020, I thought it would be a great time to talk about freedom. Forgiveness is part of this episode as well, because forgiveness is actually the key to freedom, and especially freedom from our past. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I invite you to get comfortable if you can. If you're driving, well, I hope that you can listen safely. And we're going to start by talking about freedom. And, you know, we have lots of freedom in our world, in our life. And a lot of times those freedoms or choices that we can actually give ourselves. And sometimes we allow ourselves to be put into our own self-made prisons. Yes, things can be done to us by other people in our past that we find ourselves stuck or in prison or burdened by. But we always have a choice as to how we respond, how we move forward. And that always includes healing and forgiveness, and especially self-forgiveness. I love another quote by Peter Marshall. May we think of freedom not as the right to do as we please, but as the opportunity to do what is right. And since this podcast, Life is a Treasure, is mainly about mind, body, and soul, and healing all three, because they're all connected, as I've spoke about in so many other episodes. But in working with women and men through Tears to Treasures, healing from abortion, that's their past, healing from the past. And the biggest obstacle that I find, the most challenging stage or phase of the healing process for them, and especially it was for me as well, so it's just a common thing that I've seen, is the ability to forgive themselves and others, but especially themselves. And so I'm going to be talking about a few different experiences and how they can bring us hurt, pain, regrets, inner wounds. We may have mistakes from our past. We may have some habits that we have given up. And a lot of times with those experiences, we feel a lot of different emotions. We feel anger, bitterness, resentfulness. But if we allow those emotions to keep us in the past, we can't move forward. And sometimes we think, well, I'm not going to let them off the hook. I'm not going to let them go. But the truth is, you're only holding yourself back. So many times when people have hurt me and I'm holding on to that grudge, I'm holding on to that connection with them, but they've moved on with their life. I'm the one still here holding it. And it's time to let it go. And with the full moon, it illuminates things. It allows us to purge things from our past, release things that we've been holding on to. It allows us to free ourselves. And it's a time, just like the 4th of July, it's a time for celebrating our freedom. And my hope and goal for you through this podcast episode is that you will find the freedom to set yourself free, because you have it inside of you. And I hope that this will give you some inspiration and some information. And I'm going to have an invitation at the end for you to join me in a free one-on-one session to help you find what is it. Sometimes when we've just been placing life and other things on top of that deep, deep inner wound, we forget what that core issue was. And that's what I specialize in, helping people figure out what is their core issue. Even with abortion, many times it's something that happened way before the abortion, and then they get to that and they're able to heal that, and then their healing from their abortion is a lot easier. So I just want to invite you to just have an open heart, an open mind. The past should not bring up so much pain. And if it does, that is a sign to you that it needs to be healed. So if you're listening and anything triggers you, allow that to come up. Allow that to be your signal that it needs some work. It needs some attention. It needs some compassion and care. And if it needs some forgiveness, let's practice forgiveness, because forgiveness is not a one-time thing. There's times where I have to forgive and forgive and forgive the same person for the same thing. And that is completely normal and healthy. So if you feel that way, you're not alone. So our past could be experiences such as abandonment, abuse, adoption, abortion, divorce, empty nest, financial debt, miscarriage, and the list goes on and on. There's so many experiences that we could have gone through that leave us feeling with hurt and regret and pain and mistakes, things we wish we could go back and have a do-over. But the truth is, we can't. So many times when I help with people, I hear them tell me, I just want to go back and redo it and not do what I did. And they want to just erase it. And you can't erase what's been done. You have to learn how to accept that and grieve and allow yourself to let yourself go. Let yourself off the hook from the things that you've done or that people have done to you in order to be able to move on and create a life that's much better than the one that you were in. So acknowledgement is always the first step. Acknowledge what it is that is holding you back. What it is that needs healing. And that's the first step, is just acknowledging it and saying, I know I need to deal with this. And the next step is to deal. I'm a strong believer that in order to heal, you need to deal with it. You need to allow your emotions to come up, and you need to be able to express them in a healthy manner. So let's talk about abuse. A lot of times we find ourselves being the victim, and victim mentality will continue to hold you in that place. You don't always need someone to say, I'm sorry for what I've done. I know it was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. Because most of the time, we don't get that. We're not in a perfect world, as we all are very aware, especially right now in 2020. So if you've been waiting for that, give yourself permission that it's okay. I may not have closure from that other person. I don't need that. I can still heal. I can forgive them. You don't have to tell them that you've forgiven them. Forgiveness is for yourself. Forgiveness is from your own heart. You do not have to welcome them back into your life. You have every right to protect yourself and use your boundaries. Maybe it was an adoption, you placed for adoption, or you were adopted and you feel feelings of abandonment and unworthiness. It's your opportunity to realize that no matter what, you as a human being are worthy. Despite who your biological parents, despite how you came into this world, you are equally worthy as any other human being. That is the truth, and that is your human dignity right. Own it. It's yours. It's a gift. Treasure it. Perhaps, like myself, it was abortion. And yes, we can't go back. We may regret it. We may feel sorry for what we've done. But it's up to us to forgive ourselves, forgive anyone involved in that experience process. Be able to accept that you are a post-abortive woman or a post-abortive man, or you talk someone into having an abortion. Maybe you want to say to them, I'm so sorry. I thought I was advising you to make that best decision, but I realize now it was wrong. It wasn't the best decision for you, and I'm so sorry for the pain that I've caused you. You see, we always have a choice of how we want to respond to something. And then maybe it was a divorce. And divorce is very, very painful. Divorce is complete shattering sometimes of a family. And I know for myself, I carried around a lot of mom guilt. I really struggled with forgiving myself for the pain that I caused to my children and to everyone in the whole family units. And I had to accept that this was the decision that was made, and we did the best we could at the time. And the past is in the past, and we have to forgive. We don't have to forget. Many times we can't forget, and that's okay. The memories that haunt us are the ones that are not healed, that are not dealt with. So we can always find forgiveness for ourselves and for others, even after a divorce. Empty nest. We miss our children. We raise them to grow up and go out on their own. But then our hearts are sorrowful. We miss our children so much. And we think about all the ways we could have been a better mom or a better dad. And we wish we had do-overs, and we can't, And so we often struggle as well whenever we're going through the empty nest syndrome. It could be financial. Maybe you got yourself into a lot of debt, or someone else helped put you in a debtful situation, and you feel like a failure. You're not a failure. No matter what you've done, we all make mistakes. We all have regrets. It's how we look at them. Maybe miscarriage. I have a full episode with Tracy Swainson on miscarriage, and she goes into how she forgave herself and how she's able to move on from multiple miscarriages. And I highly recommend you find that episode and listen to it with Tracy Swainson on miscarriage. And the list, like I said, could go on and on and on. But I just wanted to give you a few examples just to see. They all have that common denominator that in order to be free, we have to forgive ourselves and to forgive others, because otherwise we just put ourselves in our own prison. We stay burdened by this. We stay stuck. We're not able to move forward, and we're not able to create a better future when we're holding on to our past. But we have every right, and we have our own responsibility to ourselves to let go of the past, to heal the past, and to make closure. Find your own closure in whichever way that you can. When I do groups with the women and men, we have a closing ceremony. Like, they actually go through a process of bringing closure to that abortion experience, and in the moving forward, they look at it in a completely different perspective. And that's when they're truly set free. And I hope that you can find closure. It doesn't always have to involve anyone else who is in the process. You can do this alone in the privacy of your own home. I know, I've done it. I can help you get to that point. You can do it. You have everything within you to find closure, to find healing. And if it's too difficult, if you need help, there's no I don't like the word shame, but reach out for help. There's people out there, including myself, who are here for you. We're here to help. We're all put on this earth to help each other heal, to find freedom, and to live the best life that we can, and to treasure our life. So there's online therapy, there's online therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists. Now via telehealth, you have access through the internet, just like you're listening to this episode, to find someone who can hold that space for you, who can let you speak and Oh, as I'm thinking of this, I volunteer through 7 Cups of Tea, and it's free. You just can sign up to 7 Cups of Tea. I'll put the link in the website, and you can speak to someone, and they have listeners, and then they have doctors who can help you through whatever you're going through. It will help not only your relationship with yourself, but your relationship with other people. Because when you heal, you come to the relationships as a whole healed person. And you're less likely to find yourself in abusive relationships because you know your worth. You know that you're worth more because you are. And if you've been holding on to things from your past, I invite you right now to say to yourself by looking in the mirror, I am worthy of more. I deserve to heal, and I can forgive myself. Do that. I challenge you to look in the mirror right now. Pause this episode. Go look in the mirror, and maybe you've never looked at yourself in the eyes. Do it. It brings so much healing, and say those things. Whatever you feel led to say, I am worthy of healing. I deserve to be whole. I can love myself again. I can forgive myself. Because you, my friend, certainly can. We all can. And we're all here to help one another. And I'd like to offer you a free one-on-one session as a thank you to my listeners. And I will have a link in the show notes for you to schedule your free one-on-one 30-minute session with me if you feel that you would like to explore your emotions and just see where you might need healing, what's been burdening you, where you might need to have forgiveness. And I'm more than happy to help get you started on your path. Next week, this whole month of July, in honor of 4th of July, and just in light of all the things happening right now in the world, I'm going to be using this theme of freedom. And next week, I'm going to be speaking about freedom from fear. So if you would like to be notified, please subscribe. I'm asking you to please share this episode with anyone who you feel might benefit from it. And I'd love for you to rate and review this episode. And also reach out to me if you have any topics that you would like for me to discuss in upcoming episodes. And I'd love to hear if you have any questions regarding any episodes that I might mention or the one I'm doing right now. So I just want to say I'm wishing you all a happy 4th of July, a happy full moon, and until next week, peace, love, and joy.